Welcome to the Proud American Patriot Podcast. I'm your host, Chad. So, what can you expect here? Well, we're going to talk a little bit of politics, some of what's going on in the world, have some pew-pew talk, and anything else that might come to mind. But today I do have a very special guest. I've got Mike from the Just Us Thinking podcast, a good friend of mine. He's going to join me for our initial podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, thanks for being here. How's it going?
Going pretty good. Pretty good. This is first time I'm actually sitting on a guest side.
It is. You're normally hosting with Rebecca, and we've also got Mikey here doing our sound engineering for us because we thought we'd tap his skills a little bit.
Yep.
Or his little bit of skills, whichever way you want to look at it. So let's start off with something that I find kind of funny. Earlier this week, there was a pilot that was off duty on an Alaska Airlines, I think it was, flight from the Northwest down to San Francisco or San Francisco up to the Northwest. I want to say it was from the Northwest because I think it was in either Portland or Seattle where you can go out and get this anywhere. But he decided that it was a good idea for the first time ever to do some shrooms right before he got on that plane.
That's probably not the best time to do something like that.
It didn't work out well. I'm sure a lot of people have seen this on the news, but yeah, he tried to break into the cockpit and kill the engines mid-flight, was restrained, and then on the way to the back of the plane, tried to open up one of the emergency doors. So he ended up getting arrested. He's facing like 83 counts of attempted murder and a few other charges. Come to find out, the next day, he admitted to taking some magic mushrooms before getting on the plane, and then hallucinating that he was in a dream and the only way to wake up was to get out of the plane or crash the plane. So, for those of you that like to partake in something like that, controlled environments, don't get on a plane and take something real psychedelic, or, don't get behind the wheel and drive and do something real psychedelic or anything like that. A nice controlled environment is probably best for you, especially your first time.
I just don't understand why someone would even think that was a good idea.
Yeah, that baffles me. Even if you haven't done them before, you probably know someone that's done that or acid or some other psychedelic, and they've probably told you stories.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they even tell you, don't drink and drive, don't do drugs and drive. Definitely, I mean, I don't want that guy on a plane, that's for goddamn sure.
Oh, hell no. I'm surprised the passenger didn't get up and beat him.
Where's the fight? Where's the marshal?
Apparently there wasn't one on that. He was restrained by the staff on the plane.
Someone needed to taser his ass.
And make him twitch a little bit.
Yeah. That'll get him some mushrooms going.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd probably help with the overall experience. Although, on mushrooms he may have liked that. It may have really enhanced things and may have backfired on him.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
no, that's crazy. Now, I will tell you, we're Halloween time here.
Yeah.
One of my favorite costumes is a blind pilot. Have you seen that?
I've not seen the blind pilot.
Oh, man, there's a guy that's dressed up as a pilot. He's walking around with a cane.
Okay, yep, I have seen clips of that. That would just be fun to go to the airport and do on a non-Halloween time. Just to freak people out.
Hello, I'm your pilot. We're going to be flying by Braille today.
And when you introduce yourself, make sure you're facing away from all the people.
Right.
So, there's a lot going on in the world today, and it's got me concerned, to say the least. I think we've still got everything going on in Ukraine, and that's kind of taken a back page in the world news. It seems like to now everything going off in Israel with Hamas.
Yeah. Well, and I think we're getting into when's Russia's winter? When's their winter up there?
Oh, they run about the same time as us. They're getting into their winter. So, and anyone that doesn't know, in that area of the world, winter comes, everything stops. That's what stopped the Germans during World War II is the winter.
Yep. Yeah,
stopped Napoleon going even farther back when he tried to invade Russia.
Yeah, the stupidest thing was that Hitler ever did was try to invade Russia in winter.
Right.
I mean, that's just stupid.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping winter will kill this Ukraine war.
Well, it's, they've gone through a winter already because this kicked off in 2022.
Yeah, I don't think it was
So,
I think it was a kind of a mild winter, though, right?
I don't know for sure, but it's, I think Putin is trying to get his name in the history books before he kicks off. Depending on where you read, he's got all sorts of illnesses, but you don't know what's the truth is coming out of Russia. So I think that he's just trying to get his name in the history books. He's always said that he wants to recreate the USSR, and
Yeah. So no, but it's different. It's a different atmosphere and temperament in the sandbox, right?
oh yeah, it's completely different. You got the terrorists from Hamas in Palestine, and they went into on October 7th, went into Israel, killed a whole bunch of people, took a whole bunch of hostages, and they did brutal things, and not just the fact that they attacked civilians, they brutalized civilians. I mean, raping women, dismembering them, killing babies.
Yeah.
And here's what gets me the most, I think, is we've got people here in the U.S. that are sympathizing with them and giving them support. And not just citizens, we've got people in Congress that are doing it. And, Rashida Tlaib, after this happened, they tried to get an interview with her about the fact that Hamas terrorists went in and beheaded babies, and she would not answer a word.
Yeah.
She just kept walking, went to the congressional elevator that's for Congress staff only, and left. And then 2 days later, after the supposed Israel bombing of the hospital, which wasn't Israel bombing the hospital, it wasn't even the hospital, it was the parking lot. That was a Hamas rocket that went off course and landed in the parking lot. But
figures.
Yeah, they hit their own people. Good job. So, but no, she went to a protest and literally said that if your eyes aren't welling up with tears over these Palestinians that were killed when this hospital was bombed, you're inhuman.
So where were those tears when they did Israel?
Exactly. She showed no emotion when it came to Hamas going into Israel and doing that. In fact, she pretty much supported it. To me, she's a terrorist.
That's crazy.
In my mind, if you're going to sympathize with terrorists and you're going to support terrorists, you're no better than the terrorists. You're one of them.
So and so here's what and coming from a different background here. So imagine that guy goes and robs a bank in the United States. And so he's holding a hostage in front of him, and he shoots at the cops. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The cops are going to have to shoot back, right?
Right.
I hate to say that there's an innocent person between them, but, I mean, they've got to put a stop to it. So hiding behind an innocent person, literally our police departments here train in those situations, because there's targets that you could get at the shooting range that are like showing you a hostage situation and how to aim and where to shoot at that point, right?
Oh, yeah. And I wouldn't think for a second that any competent police department here in the United States, if that situation happened, there weren't at least 3 police snipers that had a bead on him. So as soon as he even went to shoot at the police, they drop him.
So, and that's this whole Hamas thing. This is where I get a little upset with the way they handle it. So everybody's concerned about the citizens and the innocents involved. I agree. I don't think the innocent should be party to this. The problem is Hamas is using them as human shields.
Oh,
what is Israel supposed to say? Nope. Okay. Can't touch you. I can't do anything. I mean, so you can just terrorize people as long as you have a hostage in front of you?
And that's what they do, because they know that Israel will not intentionally kill an innocent.
Which is a good thing.
Right. I applaud them for that. They will put more of their people in danger as far as the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, to not kill an innocent than to say, well, there's an innocent, we're going to protect our people here and do what we have to do. So Hamas will not only use human shields, when Israel has gone there and told them and told the Palestinian people, we're destroying this building in 24 hours. You need to evacuate. Hamas is keeping people from evacuating that area of the Gaza Strip.
So I heard they have a lot of oil and a lot of They have potential power there. They're just not sharing it with their own people.
Right, and that's the other part is there's this big movement to get oil and get water and food and other aid into the Gaza Strip for the Palestinian civilians. But, and our government says and the UN says, oh yeah, it's getting there. There's no interruption. It's going directly to the people. How much of that can you really believe? Because it's got to go through Hamas to get to the people. And Hamas is going to take care of their own first. They've shown that they don't care about the Israelis, the Palestinian people, or any other people that happen to be there.
So why are they still in charge? Why are we still trying to... I was always under the impression you don't negotiate with terrorists.
Exactly.
Why are we negotiating with a terrorist group? And why are we so afraid to call them a terrorist group?
Exactly, because they are. If you look up what they've done nothing different than what terrorists have done for decades.
Right.
They've preyed on civilian populations to create fear. You notice terrorists don't go and attack a military installation.
No.
They'll go and attack the nightclub down the street.
Yep.
So, and we should call them terrorists. I can call a spade a spade. If they're going to be terrorists, then we need to call them out for being terrorists and treat them like terrorists.
I agree with that.
And, unfortunately, I think there was political pressure put on Israel by other countries within the world including us, to make nice with Palestine. I'm all for making nice with Palestine. But the problem is Palestine, I want to say it was in 2006, elected a bunch of people that are part of Hamas, because Israel said you can have your own elections and create your own governing body. Well, they elected a bunch of people from Hamas. Since then, there haven't been free elections in Palestine.
Right.
That should tell you something.
Well, I mean, and that kind of tells you the temperament of their attitude there.
Right. And they wanted to get power, and then once they got power, they want to keep it and do what they want to do. And the Hamas Charter, point blank, says they want to destroy Israel and the United States.
Well, I just think there was more that led up to all this, too. I mean, I think they kind of got a little ballsy down there because they saw what was going in Ukraine. They saw U.S. pull out of Afghanistan. And
that was a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
Good job, Biden. Let's let everyone know when we're going to do it. And then instead of listening to your military advisors, let's just pull the plug right now and scramble to get everything out.
You got to understand, on a world stage, they see that. So you have these terrorist organizations that see weakness.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say it, they see weakness.
And, you and I are old enough that we remember when there was a time that the United States was, depending on where you sat in the world, either respected or feared.
And sometimes maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah. And, our allies respected us because we were the ones that had the power to come and support them when they had issues. And those that weren't our allies, they feared what we could do.
It goes even to now. You look at some of the parents that you have. There's a reason why some people don't backtalk their mom. Their mom will turn around and slap the crap out of them.
Oh yeah.
So you had a healthy respect and fear for saying something stupid in front of your mother because you knew there was repercussions.
Definitely, and you don't have that anymore. And we've gone from an era of respecting people to either I don't know what respect is and I'm going to talk to my mom however I want because she can't do anything about it, or to an area of I don't agree with you, so you're a Nazi.
Yeah.
Or you're racist, or you're a homophobe, or whatever their talking point of the week is.
Yeah, I disagree with not hearing the other side, I guess, the problem that they run into.
Right.
I'm all for a debate. I'm all for hearing your side. I'll listen to you out. I don't care what side you're on. But that's not the case. It's if you start saying something that someone doesn't want to hear, they want to boycott you or they want to shut you up.
I'm going to cancel you.
I hate that.
Yeah, the whole cancel culture thing. I can't tell you the number of times that I've had a discussion with someone, either in person or online or whatever it is, and once I start shooting down their points and showing them the flaws in their line of thinking, all of a sudden, I'm a racist, or I'm a homophobe, or I'm a fascist. And, the funny thing is, a lot of this are coming from people that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
They want to say, well, we believe in free speech and everyone should be able to give their voice and their opinion. But then as soon as you have an opinion that goes counter to them, they want to shut you down.
Yeah, they don't care about your free speech. They care about their free speech.
Exactly. And it's you go back to several years ago, I want to say it was in Missouri on a college campus. There was a protest and a independent journalist was there wanting to record some of it. And the staff of the college told him, no, you can't be here, and had people remove him. Because he was of an opinion differing from theirs and wasn't going to show them in this bright shining light that the mainstream media typically does.
I don't believe in censoring. I've never believed in censoring.
No.
And Twisted Sister testifying in Congress. I mean, I'm showing my age now, right. But damn.
There are some things that you shouldn't be able to do. Middle of a movie theater, get up and yell fire. That just causes public nuisance and public danger. I've got 2 young children. There are certain things they shouldn't be exposed to. But as a parent, that's my responsibility to keep them from being exposed, not the masses, not the government.
Well, that's true. Well, and I agree with you 100%. Here's my problem. What do you do when the parents don't want to step in and do what they need to do?
And that's the problem is we have a lot of, we've gotten to the point where there are a lot of parents out there that either don't want to parent, don't know how to parent, or find it too difficult, whatever the issue is. If you've got a child, that's your responsibility. That should be your number one care and responsibility.
Right.
And there's a lot of different theories on parenting, whether you're a helicopter parent or you're a free range parent or whatever the case is. You got to find a happy medium in there, I think, especially depending on where you live, what the climate is like, and how old your children are. But yeah, I think we have a big issue in this country with parenting and how people parent and the lack of parenting.
Yeah.
It goes back to broken homes. To me, it's a big part of that is broken homes and, single family parents where you've got one person that is taking care of the child and the other one is completely absent in their life.
Yeah, I think that's always been an issue with, single parent homes versus, 2-parent homes. A lot of times the one parent has to take on both roles. It's hard. I will tell you generally have to have like I'm trying to remember how I put it. You have to have your good cop, bad cop, I guess is the best way to put it. So, if I'm the bad cop, then that means my wife has to be the good cop.
Right.
So, how do you do that as a single parent is a little different.
Right, and both of us have experience with doing that.
Right.
I've got my girls and I've got an ex-wife and we split time with the girls and we've gotten to the point where things are fairly similar between the two households, but there was definitely an adjustment period in there. You went through a situation where it was just you for years.
Oh yeah.
So it's it's up to the parent to be a parent.
Right.
There's a reason you're the parent and they're the child.
Yeah, and that's I always recognize that as well. And I guess when you're a kid, you don't understand that. Like, well, why do I have to? And I don't know how many times you've been told because I said so.
Yep.
You don't really. I hate to say it, but children and terrorists should be treated kind of equal there. There is no negotiation. I'm the parent. You're going to do what I say. Now, people disagree with that, but that's the way I run it.
Yeah, and I am 100% on board with that, and I think as that child gets older, you start to give them a little bit more responsibility, a little bit more input. They come to you with, I want to do whatever it is. You don't necessarily know if that's a good idea or not. So, that's where you start letting them explain why they want to do it, because eventually they're going to be an adult and have to do that. So start with that when they're young.
So, when they're 2 years old, there's no negotiation.
Right.
When they're 5 years old, there's not a whole lot of negotiation. When they start getting 10, 11, 12, and they can articulate a conversation, that's good. I've always had a rule. If Mikey wants to do something or my daughter wanted to come do it, I want to know the who, what, when, where, how.
Yep.
If you could give me all the information, you had a better chance of doing what you wanted to do.
Oh, yeah. My girls over the summer wanted to know if I would take them to the mall so that they could meet there with a couple of their friends. And first thing I said is, okay, well, what friends? What are you going to be doing in the mall? How long are you planning on being there? What stores are you going to go to? Is there going to be an adult of one, a parent of one of these kids that's going to be somewhere in the vicinity in case something happens? And yeah, if you can't answer those questions, then you're probably going to get a hard no.
Yeah. Now, if you can answer all those questions and like, yep, nope, Susie's going to be there, and Susie's mom's going to be in the mall because she works at one of the stores.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I'll have to understand that. I'm like, okay, Susie's mom, she works there. If she works there, she's not going to want to have kids run around because she don't want to get that in trouble at work.
Right.
So that kind of holds a little more weight there. We're the same way there.
Mm-hmm. But, and this almost ties back to what we were talking about earlier with the terrorists.
Oh, it definitely does.
It's you're a terrorist.
A 2-year-old's a terrorist.
Right. Yeah. For those of you that have kids, when they're 2-3 years old, you've got your own little terrorist in the house. They will run around with anything and everything, destroy stuff.
Yep.
But no, we've got to treat the terrorist like a 2-year-old and tell them, look, you're going to do A, B, and C.
Yep.
Or else here are the consequences.
Yeah.
And those consequences aren't going to be, well, we're gonna tell you that you're not nice people and we're maybe gonna give you a little slap on the wrist. No, you know what? Bomb them forward to the Stone Age. When 9/11 happened, Dennis Miller said that line. He was talking about everything that happened, and he said, what we should do with these countries is tell them, if you don't behave, we're gonna bomb you forward to the Stone Age, because most of them are pretty backwards anyway, and they've taken religion and bastardized it. Because for those of you that don't know, Islam is a very peaceful religion at its heart.
And that's what people don't seem to understand. There's good and bad of all religions.
Definitely.
Don't get me wrong. My biggest problem with religion is religion kills more people than any other thing on this earth.
More wars fought over religion than anything else in the history of mankind.
Yeah, so that seems almost the opposite of what it should be.
Mm-hmm. Well, especially when most of these religions, at their heart, preach peace.
Yeah.
Very few religions that I can think of actually had some sort of violence behind them. About the only one I can think of off the top of my head, if you go back into the old Norse and Viking religions, there was a bit of violence in that, but that was also part of their everyday life and what they had to do to get by. But, it was also back in, 750 AD through to, 1300 AD.
Well, but even if you look at, I think all religion, the problem is it's all words written down.
Mm-hmm.
It's written by people who, believe what they believe with them. Look at even the Bible says eye for an eye, right? I mean, that, God's wrath could be pretty bad there too. So,
and you want to read about some violent times, read the Bible, especially Old Testament. There's a whole lot of violence and fighting and war in there.
Yep.
And it's hard for me to accept a religion that's supposed to be peaceful at its nature, and then, be it Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, whatever the religion is, people taking that and turning it and bastardizing it to their purposes. The big one right now, which has been the big one for as long as I can remember, is the Muslim versus Jewish Christian. Yeah. Where it's, they get drilled into their head that if you're not Muslim, you're an infidel and you must be erased from the planet. Well, go back and read the Quran, because it says the exact opposite. And I know you've got a degree in theology, and but correct me if I'm wrong, but the Quran in a couple of different places says things like, if there's a tree with a single leaf living on it, you can't destroy it.
Correct.
If you take a prisoner, that is not, and take them into your camp, that is not a prisoner, that is now your guest.
Correct.
So, which is the exact opposite of what these terrorists are doing.
I agree. It's the issue that you run into. It's the twisted words that they come up with.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of crazy, but you're right. The Quran says you will treat a prisoner as a guest of yours. You will, and it goes something along the lines of, you must teach them the correct way. That's how religion works. They all want to teach you their way.
Right.
That says that as well. And it also does say that you shouldn't harm a life. Even a single leaf is life.
Right. And you I think you hit the nail on the head. Every major religion talks about, yes, there are other beliefs out there, but you should teach them your beliefs and bring them into the fold. Right. Not eliminate them from the earth.
Right.
And it's not just Islam. There are some crazy Christians out there that believe the same thing, only with Christianity as opposed to Islam. I mean, there's some zealots in every religion, and they will unfortunately shed a bad light on that religion.
Yeah, and they're all that. What are the ones that go knocking on your door?
The Jehovah's Witness?
Yeah, the Jehovah's. Those guys kind of piss me off every once in a while. They want to come knocking on my door, but come Halloween, I can't come knocking on their door. They throw a fit.
Right, exactly. It's
a double standard. And most religions have some type of double standard in there.
And I used to have Jehovah's Witnesses come to my house, and here's the other problem I have with that. I don't have a problem if you want to come to my house and politely ask me if you can discuss your views, because I'll talk to anyone. I don't care. I'll talk to anyone about anything as long as I have a little bit of knowledge or it's a subject that interests me a little bit. I'll talk to you. But if I tell you no, not right now, don't keep pestering me.
Right.
Just take the no and go to the next house.
And that's my opinion as well. That's I'm not going to shut anybody down, but I will tell you, in my house, I don't watch those 16 and pregnant shows. Those aren't in on my house because I don't believe with those views. Now, that also doesn't mean I'm going to go down and shut those down where nobody can watch them. Right. I just choose not to watch it. That's my opinion. I'm okay with my opinion in my house, and we're good to go.
Yeah. And that's a lot of the way I view it is, there's things out there that either aren't worth watching or send the wrong message, either intentionally or unintentionally.
Right.
And especially with children in the house, you probably don't want to watch shows like that and have them in your house. The 16 and pregnant, there was the girl in our neighboring state over in Council Bluffs that, she, and I don't know the whole story because I don't watch it, but she intentionally got pregnant to be on that show so she could flip that into a porn star career.
See, that's my problem with it. That's my problem. I don't think you should get praised for doing bad behavior.
Right.
And we keep doing it. It's ridiculous. There's that hoarding, and then that My Strange Addiction where they eat stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm like, that's not healthy. That's not good.
Right.
So now we're going to put them on TV and make them famous?
Yeah, put them on TV and glorify it?
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I can't get through my house because I've got newspapers from 1962.
Yeah, I've never
and not just
that.
One, all of them.
Right. All of them. Jeez.
Here's my stack of 1962. Next to that is 1963. And I've got every Time Life magazine going back to the first issue. Well, good. Hold on to that first one because it's probably worth some money.
Right.
The rest of them, other than a couple here and there, probably get rid of.
I don't know. That Suzanne Summers Playboy issue might be worth something now.
Well, like I said, other than a few of them.
Capitalize on that now.
But no, and, again, this goes back to what we just talked about, parenting. You got these 16-year-old girls that go out there and think, I'm going to get pregnant so I can get on this show, or I'm going to get pregnant because that's going to make me happy. Guess what? That baby's a huge responsibility, and you're not ready for it.
Yeah, no shit.
I don't know what I would have done if I was 16 and found out I was having a kid.
Well, that's the reason why, you can't. So you have to have. They want to say, okay, you can't have a gun before 21, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you could have a kid. You could do more damage with that kid than you can with that gun.
More damage to that kid.
Yeah.
And that's why we have a lot of these kids running around, because a 16-year-old doesn't know how to parent. They don't know how to set down that rule and be firm, but at the same time be loving and caring.
Right.
And, then we get these kids that grow up without discipline, without respect, and look at the mess we've gotten ourselves into doing this.
Yep.
If you ask me, unfortunately, the world is going to hell in a handbag.
Yeah, and I just wish the people in charge would kind of see, hey, this train's out of control. Let's stop it.
But they don't want to do that, because they would rather have us fighting each other, us concerned about everything that's going on, so that they can push through what they want to push through, line their pockets, get the kickbacks for everything.
Yeah.
And, it's become corrupt. I have for years said that the Constitution was written to be a government of the people and by the people for the people.
Right.
The leaders that we've had for as long as I can remember, they have not been of the people, by the people, or for the people.
No.
And definitely not of the people. When you have people in Congress and in the White House that have made their money off the blood, sweat, and tears of the people, that's not a representative, that's a tyrant.
So how many people in Congress do you know worked fast food? Probably
not a lot of them. And you got AOC who slang drinks and, made a fool of herself in bars, but if you've seen any of the pictures, but, she did that when she was in college. Most people in college work in a restaurant or a bar or something like that, but
right.
I would be willing to guess that there is a very small percentage of people in Congress that worked at McDonald's when they were 15, 16, 17.
Right. They probably have never had a real job.
No, probably not.
And I know some of them, even if they started out with a real job, then they get into politics and they spend the rest of their life there. But, I mean, that would be the equivalent of, a guy racing NASCAR at 21, going and doing another job and then trying to go NASCAR 50 years later.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to work out very well for the guy.
Yeah. I think that the only way to fix our political system is to, one, get rid of a lot of these people that have made a career in politics. When our country started, politics wasn't supposed to be a career. It was supposed to be your civic duty.
Right.
You would go and you would serve your term or two, and then you'd go back to your shop, your farm, whatever it is. At that point, it was a hindrance to you to be a part of Congress.
Right. So here's the issue that we're running into. So now it's a job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So put yourself in their situation though too. Are you work for a company? Are you going to make it where you're going to get fired in 4 or 5 years?
Right. And there's the point there, and that's part of the problem is we've made this into a job and into a career.
Right.
When the initial point of it was, like I said, you're going to do your civic duty. You're going to leave your job, whatever it is, whether you have a back in, the 1776 after when all this started, you're going to leave the tavern that you run or the inn that you run or your farm or, your job as a shoemaker, whatever it is, and you're going to go serve in Congress for a set amount of time, or you're going to get elected president and be president for a set amount of time. And it was you putting your regular life on hold to go do your civic duty.
Well, and I think Daniel Boone actually did it the best there because he would go serve and then go back. And then, so he was back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, it wasn't unheard of to step away and then go back into it.
Right. Well, and, I think that I'm on the fence with term limits.
I'm not. I think they need to be there.
So I do think there needs to be something in there, but at the same time, if I'm elected to Congress and I want to make sure that I'm taken care of after my, let's just say Congress, it's a 2-year term. So let's just say they say you can serve up to 6 terms or up to 3 terms. So a total of 6 years. I've got to make sure I'm taken care of after those 6 years. So I want to make sure that I pass bills that are going to take care of me when I leave Congress. I'm going to be really lenient on maybe some legislation about, going and working for companies to, get certain business passed because that's the field I was in before I came to Congress. Or I'm going to make it so it's easier to, farmland reduce restrictions on what you can do on farmland because I've got 1,000 acres of farmland back home that I need to get taken care of.
Yes, and I can see that part too. So you go in, you get some stuff that you want done, and then you reap the benefits when you go back out. And I want to say, though, don't we kind of want that to happen? Don't we kind of want people to go into office to make regular jobs and regular people more successful than just the rich people?
But I don't think they do that. I think they would look at it as, this is what's going to be good for me, as opposed to good for the people. Because that's what they're doing right now, is it's, what can I do that's going to be good for me?
So the problem with politics is people.
Right. Well, the problem with politics isn't people, it's the lack of morals that people have. Your job is to represent the people in your district and pass what's going to benefit the country as a whole and the people that you represent.
I think if you take the money out of it, if you take the pay and a lot of the perks that they get out of it, I think you're going to stop getting those greedy people in office.
Probably. Or the other side of it is it's going to snowball effect, and they're going to go in there and say, okay, well, I'm not getting, paid the $174,000 a year or whatever it is that someone in the House makes, and then I'm not getting this benefit and I'm not getting that benefit. So I need to go and get some laws passed so that this company that I've got a job with when I get back is going to be making money so that I can get paid better. So, because when I go back to them, I say, look, I did this and this and this so that you can make more money. So I need a cut of that because
the problem is they're already doing that.
I know, but I don't know if that would make it worse, taking everything right out. Now, the one big thing that I think that needs to happen in Congress, and this came up during the whole Obamacare thing, is, well, if you don't have insurance, we'll give you this Obamacare and we'll do this, this, and this for you with it. Well, that's great because, I know there are people that are down on their luck and they probably need insurance. But again, these are people on high talking down to the people and being tyrants. They're saying this with the golden parachute that they get. They get the absolute best health insurance in the country. And, if you're going out touting how good Obamacare is, well, then maybe that's what you should get too.
I agree with that. But here's my problem with a lot of I hate to say the government handouts. I'm all for a handout for someone that needs it. I do not like that they just arbitrarily give out money. Like, I will tell you, COVID was a good example. When COVID hit, they wanted to just send everybody money. And there were people that were not displaced, didn't have any money. They just got a windfall of extra money.
Right.
And I don't think that was the case. I mean, Hamas, I just saw on the news, we're going to send Israel $100 billion
worth of aid. Yeah. And what I saw was there's a package that's splitting that up between Ukraine, Israel, and Palestine, aka Hamas, because that's where it's going to end up.
That's ridiculous. Why are we sending that much aid to another country when there's people here that are in need of it?
Oh, definitely. And not just people that are in need of it. Because I'm the proud American patriot. I am a big supporter of the veterans.
Me too.
We should be taking that money and taking care of disabled veterans, homeless veterans, veterans that have mental illness because of what they saw when they were overseas. We need to take care of ours first.
I agree.
And, I know that there are strategic reasons for going and supporting other countries and giving them aid. And that's good if we've got the extra money.
Right.
But that'd be like someone coming to me and saying, hey, you can take care of your family and maybe have a little bit left over to go on vacation or something, but why don't you take that vacation money and half of what you're using to take care of your family and give it to me so that I can do something with it?
See, and that's why I think everybody needs to pull their own weight.
Definitely. And it's you went back to the handouts, and two things with that. So when the money for COVID came out, I don't know what everyone else did with it. I put it aside and said, I'm going to take this and put it back into my local community. There are some things I want to do with my motorcycles. So I went to a local shop, not a Harley dealership, not a big commercial dealership, a local shop. And I had them do the work, put the money into their business. So I knew that money was going to come to me. So I thought, what's the best I can do with this money, especially in this time? Because,
right.
I went to local restaurants and spent my money there.
But that's money that, I hate to say it, but if you need a handout, you could ask. I'm all for asking. But we're turning welfare into people are on our career welfare recipients.
And that was the other point with it is welfare has become a money-making scheme.
Right.
It's, they need to, and by they I mean Congress, needs to reform welfare.
Right.
And with that, my suggestion would be, you get a set amount of time on welfare. I don't know what the best time for that is. Is it a year? Is it 2 years? Is it so many months? Does it depend on how many dependents you have? But you've got that amount of time to get your shit together.
Yeah.
And you got to find a job. Now,
there needs to be an incentive to get these people off of it.
Right. And with that, you've got to find a job. Now, if the only job that you can find is going to a fast food joint and flipping burgers and taking orders, and the money that you're making doing that, which with them wanting increased minimum wage and everything, isn't going to happen anymore probably. But if you're falling short of what you were getting for welfare, okay, at least you're out there contributing to society. Then I can see the government subsidizing that some.
Oh, I'd be all for that.
But, just the handing out your monthly paycheck, that is going to continue to kill us.
I agree.
And I'll talk about this in the future because there's a whole lot that goes into it, but welfare was put in as a way to divorce the family unit. It was put in there to say, hey, you know what, Mom? If you don't want to be with this person and you'd rather be by yourself, we'll pay you to do that. And it was put in there to break down that family unit.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but I think you're right.
Yes. But looks like we're running on time, so we'll wrap this up. For those of you that don't know the two of us, which is probably a lot of you, Mike and I could probably talk on for another 3-4 hours easy and just keep jumping subject to subject. We didn't really come in here with an agenda or anything written out other than let's start here and see where it goes, which is probably how most of our conversations go, don't you think?
We start those conversations way too much.
All right. Well, everyone, thanks for joining us. If you have anything that you want to give us as far as feedback or ideas, certainly let me know. And we'll talk to you later. We're out of here.